Issei Sagawa, the Kobe cannibal, murdered his friend Renée Hartevelt in 1981 and ate her remains. Guess what? He is not in the jail. But he is still free to walk the streets. Issei Sagawa was carrying out a 32-year-old dream when he murdered, mutilated, and eaten Renée Hartevelt. At the time of his crime, Sagawa was studying comparative literature in Paris. He was quickly arrested and sent to a psych hospital. Due to a legal loophole, he was allowed to check himself out of a different psych hospital after his return to Japan, and he remains free to this day. He's effectively made a good living off his crime in the years since, and he's even become a celebrity in Japan. He's appeared on a number of talk shows and written manga books portraying the murder and eating of Roosevelt. And he has remained chillingly unapologetic throughout his life. When he talks about his crime, he acts as if it were the most natural thing in the world and he wants to do it again. Issei Sagawa was born on April 26, 1949. And he was around 2 to 3 years old when he developed cannibalistic desires and a fascination with eating human flesh. He recalled his uncle wearing different dresses of monsters on each day and used to play a same game of lowering him and his sibling into a stew pot to be eaten with pleasure. In first grade, he remembered eyeing friends' thighs and thought, that looks good. He was attracted to fairy tales about people being eaten, and Hansel and Gretel was his favorite. According to him, his cannibalistic thoughts grew to an extent because of the media's portrayal of Western ladies like Grace Kelly, connecting it with what most people would term sexual desire. Issei Sagawa claims that the reasons for his cannibalism cannot be explained or understood by someone who does not share his same desires. Although Sagawa went to consult a therapist for his urges when he was 15, but he found it ineffective and sank even deeper into his own mentality. He didn't try to fulfill his urges until 1972 when he sneaked into the Tokyo apartment of a young German woman with the goal of eating a portion of her body. Fortunately, the woman awoke. Before Sagawa could attack her, she was able to save herself and captured him because Sagawa was weak and only 5 feet tall. Sagawa was arrested for attempted rape, despite the fact that he had intended to eat the woman rather than sexually abuse her. Sagawa's rich father, on the other hand, offered the young woman money in exchange for her dropping the case against his son. Then, in 1981, after 32 years of suppressing his desires, he finally decided to act on them with full planning. Issei Sagawa had moved to Paris to attend the Sorbonne, a public research institution, to study literature. Renée Hartevelt was a Dutch student at the Sorbonne who studied with Sagawa. Sagawa built a friendship with her over time, even asking her to dinner at his house several times to gain her trust. Before murdering her, he attempted to kill her once and failed. When her back was turned, the gun misfired the first time. Though most people would consider this a sign to give up, for him it just helped his intentions to kill Renée the other day. Sagawa said in his words, "It drove me even more insane." He did it the next night. This time he fired at Renée without mistake, and Renée was killed instantly. Sagawa was only remorseful for a while as Renée was his friend. But soon he started enjoying the moment as he achieved what he wanted for 32 years. He recalled, "I considered calling an ambulance. But then I said to myself, hold on, don't be a fool. You've been dreaming about this for 32 years, and it's finally happening." Then he raped Renée's corpse and began cutting her apart. He started with cutting into her bottom. Later, he admitted that his one regret was not eating her while she was alive. He said, "All I wanted to do was eat her living flesh. No one believes me, but my ultimate goal was to eat her instead of killing her." Does it make sense? I know your answer would be no. But this is what he said. Sagawa disposed of what was left of Renée's remains 2 days after killing her. He'd eaten or frozen most of her pelvic region. So he stuffed her legs, torso, and head into 2 suitcases and called a cab. He was dropped off at the Bois de Boulogne Park, which had a quiet lake. He intended to throw the luggage in it. But other passers-by observed the blood was dripping out of the suitcase and alerted the French cops. Issei Sagawa spent 2 years in a French prison awaiting his trial. When his trial time came around, French judge Jean-Louis Bruguière declared him legally ill and incompetent to face trial, dismissing the charges and ordering him to be kept in a mental hospital forever. They then deported him to Japan, where he intended to spend the rest of his days in a mental hospital. Today, Issei Sagawa walks around the streets of Tokyo, free to do as he likes. He doesn't hesitate in the interviews from showing his desire to murder women. He just explains how he wants to kill another woman to taste the human flesh one more time. In the meantime, Sagawa made a huge profit from his crime. He has written 20 books to date. One of the most recent books is Extremely Intimate Fantasies of Beautiful Girls, which is filled with drawings by himself and other well-known artists. Sagawa is said to have diabetes and has had 2 heart attacks in 2015. He is now 73 years old, lives in Tokyo with his brother, and continues to attract media attention. Now, I'm going to tell you a very disturbing part of Renée's story that happened in 1985. Renée Hartevelt's murder and dismembered crime scene images were leaked to the public and were published in a popular French magazine. The images revealed the young woman's naked body, which had been disfigured and cut into pieces, and its publication shocked the French public as well as Renée's relatives and friends. Because of the outcry over the photos' circulation, one reporter was arrested for publishing them, and law authorities seized more than 200,000 copies of the magazine. The scandal surrounding these images also led members of the French court system to seek a solution to the celebrity cannibal's fame.